Okay, hello. Welcome back to another one of these TBW podcasts.
Yes.
So last time we had closed discussing about how conventional schools don't fit every kind of kid. And we had said that today we will go through that and we will discuss a little bit about it. So firstly, we start with a disclaimer.
Yes. My disclaimer is this episode is not encouraging anyone to drop out of school. It's just asking better questions.
That's right.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
If school doesn't fit everyone, why is it? And what do you think? What do you think makes every child different, or why every child cannot fit into the mold that conventional schools present itself?
That's a lot of questions, but yes.
In one way.
So I think first we need to realize that schools have this particular system that we have to follow, but it's not one size fits all. So there are different children going through different struggles in their own lives, and how can we cater to their needs? Usually what happens is we try to mold the child to become normal or like
Typically functioning?
Yeah, typically functioning, but we have to figure out a way to work around the needs of the child more than trying to make them fit into our society.
Correct.
We also have like different words like, oh, this child is gifted, oh, this child is struggling. That's it.
Yeah.
What about the rest of them? Or just like in the
Did you
middle?
know gifted is also considered a learning disability?
Yeah.
It is. Giftedness comes under learning disabilities.
Yeah.
So in that sense, if every child's needs are different, what does a school do?
They don't really cater for all of them. They kind of like put you in this system and it's very rigid and they're just like, you just have to go through it, which then stems to like the youth's mental health.
Yeah.
Where you kind of have this learned helplessness,
Yeah.
and like the fear of failure, the pressure, and the list is huge. And the schools just be like, doesn't matter, put your head down, keep going, which is what the problem is. And it's kind of like there's this really big overdue change that needs to be done within the system.
And it's not like each curriculum or some specific curriculum doesn't do it. Every curriculum pretty much, every system pretty much follows the same
Yeah.
mold.
Yeah.
Even though some may be more practical than the others, some may be more theoretical than the others. The same mold of pressure and the integration and over assimilation, all that comes for the child, regardless of the system, right?
Yeah.
So is there a particular curriculum or something that we should be encouraging kids to go for if they are more neurodivergent?
That's a good question.
Isn't it?
Yeah, because I'm not very aware of UAE schools much. But
Yeah, I understand. But like over here, for example, we have IB's curriculum. We have the
Yeah.
British, the American,
Yeah.
and we have the Indian and the Swiss, and we have a lot of variety.
Yeah, international.
International, right? It's a
Yeah.
big melting pot of different curriculums. So when do we, because over here, when kids come to us, they come from all walks of life. Every different school, we've seen similar kind of struggles.
Yes.
So that does mean there's a systemic issue. But what are the problems we do see is a good question also.
I think schools being more inclusive to the neurodivergence, or just the fact that, you know, if someone has ADHD, autism, dyslexia, maybe they just get extra time, or, you know, they have like an LSA or something, but maybe that's not the solution. Like there's so much more that needs to be done. They can't sit still in a classroom. Doesn't mean you continue to put them in the classroom. Like they need to have that understanding. And I think also the awareness of the students or the teachers understanding what they're going through. Because it's always the other way around where they have to walk into the classroom and be like, disclaimer guys, this is how I am. But it should be the other way around where it's like you walk into the classroom and they're like, oh, we know how you are.
Correct,
I think we really need that change.
It's that sentence they say, acknowledgement and acceptance before accommodation. Because the first thing everyone does, so in my clinical practice, for example, I meet hundreds of kids who come in either for an exemption, either for to drop a subject, or they come in, they go like, okay, can you tell them that I'm ADHD? You know, younger kids, obviously the parents say it.
Yes.
The parents go like, my kids have autism, say it to the school. Why don't you say it to the school? They do not believe me. They need a report from you. I'm like, okay. And then teenagers will be like, I have ADHD, tell my father. So he can tell the school. Because once that's done, and then they get the extra time, and then they get the dropping of the subject, then the question comes, how many of those kids are using it as a crutch? How
Yeah.
many of it is actually learning from the experience? Because if there is no acceptance and acknowledgement, and if there's only
Yes.
accommodation, what are they going to do after school?
It's a very thin line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
after school,
Yeah.
you will just be like, okay, the world will accommodate me.
Yeah.
Which they won't.
They won't.
Which they won't. Right? So then it comes back to the whole thing that schools need to figure out a way, like you said, to learn at the base level, at the bottom level of
Yeah.
how to integrate such students into the schooling system. Because even testing wise, not all kids test well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. We
Yeah.
see it here as well at our centre.
Yeah.
We have our own assessments, and sometimes they don't test well, but then, we do the one-on-one sessions, or we've met the child,
Yeah.
and they're so different to what's on paper.
And if, for example, in our assessment, we go through all of the cognitive skills, right? So long-term memory is such a big debate that I have with parents all the time. They'll be like, okay, no, but my child remembers everything. But the results will show the kid's below average,
Yeah.
very low,
Yeah.
cannot understand long-term memory, or does not have a good long-term memory. They'll be like, no, but then when they were 2 years old, they went to a zoo. And today when I ask them at 14, what did they see at the zoo? They tell me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, see, listen. Long-term memory is different from episodic memory. The episodic memory has emotions attached. And then go like, what is that?
Yeah.
I don't believe you. It's such a constant struggle
Yeah,
because education-wise, even parents and teachers don't understand everything. They don't understand all of these things that affect a child, that
Yeah.
impact a child's needs.
Yeah.
So again, we go back to now what do we do? If they don't test well and we understand them differently, what do we do? What do you think we should do, Himangi? Pose it to you directly.
Oh no. I don't work well under pressure. Just saying.
So you would do great in school.
Like I did. No, I think what also I wanted to add is that in schools we see that they give extra time, they give all of that you mentioned. What they don't do is, and they have different schools for special needs children.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
I feel like they should make it into one and provide more, have more teachers, provide more. And because I know teachers themselves are doing very well and they must be putting in a lot of efforts, and it's very difficult for one teacher to handle so many students. But having more help in school, making it more inclusive for the child would really help, because again, there's no normal. So everyone needs to work around it. I'm just losing the train of thought midway. Sorry, this is how it works.
No, but to be fair,
Can you repeat your question?
to be fair, what you did say did make
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
However, in Dubai, because of we are in Dubai, schools don't have one teacher per class.
Oh yeah, they have
Many.
Yeah.
They're one teacher, then
Yeah.
they have assistant teachers, then they have nannies, and then
Yeah.
they have LSAs.
Yeah.
So we have the support.
Yeah.
But does everyone involved know how to handle all sorts of children? Is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
question.
So working together is what we need to do more.
Or educating
Educating
Educating.
awareness.
at that level
Yeah.
would be
Yeah.
better, because
Yeah.
for example, if you work with a lot of SEND departments in schools, they will know what they're doing,
Yeah.
but they will have a constant struggle to explain to the teachers
Yeah.
what's happening, and the teachers will be like, but you're wasting my time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
very separate.
Yeah, very separate,
Yeah.
because their goals are very separate.
Yeah.
At a very primary level, at a very baseline level, the goals of a teacher is
Yeah.
to get to make the student pass, and the goals of the SEND department is to get the neurodivergent child to assimilate.
Yeah.
They
It's
need
very-
to be on the same page.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
the issue. Yeah.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
But then when the whole thing is about having a good image or having good numbers, it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of many systemic things.
I'm so sorry, I have to say this.
Yes.
I read something
Yes.
that we spend our whole lives teaching a special needs to child to fit into the normal society,
Yeah.
where we should be learning how to accommodate to their needs.
Yeah.
Truly, I agree with
And
this.
this is
Yeah.
so
Because simply put,
yeah.
the basic, the most common thing we see, leaving ADHD is autism.
Yeah.
Autism is so large.
Exactly.
It is such a huge spectrum. There are those who can't handle social systems. There are those kids who are non-verbal, or
Yeah.
kids who have verbal challenges alone, social situations alone.
Yeah.
And there are highly functional autistic people
Yeah.
that we do not understand are autistic. So
Exactly.
this varied variety also is so hard to teach someone.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what do they do then?
Exactly.
You know, so you get stuck in a lot. So should the process of teaching or educating people at this level be continuous?
I feel like obviously we need education awareness, maybe a lot of workshops, like every month or bi-weekly they need to like keep up to date.
Yeah.
And also just find other means of testing. I know the rigid system is always like doing a big exam, be that SATs, GCSEs, etc. But only when I got to university I realized like coursework is such a nice way as well.
Yeah.
Instead of just being in a timed pressure exam.
Yeah.
Doing coursework, I feel like I thrived more, like, you know, had my own time to really like put down all my knowledge, and you know, sometimes being in a team helps, you know, two brains are better than one, things like that. And that's just my personal experience. So I can only imagine like for neurodivergent kids, maybe doing project-based assessments or assignments, things like this would be more easier for them to test with than just a timed exam.
And also it builds confidence. When you're working in a team or when you're working alone, putting your knowledge, doing your own research and everything, it just builds your self-esteem and self-confidence more than sitting in an exam and just like, oh, what do I do?
Yeah.
Oh my
And
God, what is the right
motivation,
answer?
especially like ADHD and
And
stuff.
it teaches you those skills of being self-motivated, self-esteem, self-confidence, and you know how to regulate your own emotions when you're in that situation.
Yeah, because a lot of people, for example, when I was in uni, so I had a very interesting friend group. And we were all put on the same project, for example. So one of my best friends, she's amazing at studying. She doesn't need to study. She'll just understand conceptually, and she'll just be like, oh, here, I topped. Or look, I'm the topper. And then there were 5 people who won an award in the whole university from the dean or whatever. She was one of them.
Oh,
Right?
nice.
But on the opposite end was my other friend. She can't do an MCQ well. She was terrible at MCQs. And a lot of our exams were MCQs. She was just like, but that's a lot of content to put into my head. And then think about which one exactly fits this answer.
Yeah.
And then I never thought of it from that point of view. I was just like, we just have to do it, yeah. Like, we just have to get through this.
Yeah.
We just have to finish it and we'll think about it. But like, think about it. There's so much information I have to take in. And then I have to pick and choose which one. And then she would spend time doing it. The time would finish.
Yeah.
Time would finish. And then once it's over, she's just like, okay, yeah, I'm not doing well in this one. On the flip side, assignment work, she would do brilliant at.
The MCQ one is really relatable because what they do is they're so smart teachers. They have this question and all the 4 answers are kind of correct.
Yeah,
so you just decide which one is perfectly 100% correct.
And
so I used to have that anxiety a lot.
Correct. And then immediately anxious feelings. Immediately anxious feelings.
You spiral after that.
Same.
You spiral after that because your friend is going to do well. If you know it, especially. She's like, okay, I'm going to suck. She's going to do a great job in it. So I'm not going to do well in this. And that really impacts your confidence. So that's why we come back to the assignment part of it, project work part of it.
Yeah.
Because if you see, there were these cool statistics that Himangi had found for us.
Yes.
Would you like to go through it with us?
Yes.
Okay, tell me.
So 40, I've heard that 40.
You've not heard, you read it. Here you go.
I read it.
You know.
We know you read it. Read it again. Don't make up stuff.
40, from what I remember,
What do you remember?
around 45% of students go through a lot of pressure from their parents
Okay.
to perform well academically.
Okay.
Where?
Like in a specific region or just an overall
In
aggregate?
UAE.
In the UAE.
So
okay.
this is these statistics are from the UAE.
Okay.
Yeah, and 20% of students, they go through a lot of mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. Again, from the stress of wanting to perform well. Yeah.
Specifically to academic stress.
Yes, specific to academic stress.
Okay.
Both of them. Yeah.
Which is very interesting.
Yeah.
Because then when we talk about the rise in anxiety and stress amongst the youth population, would it benefit from them finding different means of schooling to alleviate anxiety? So homeschooling.
Yeah, I'd say, homeschooling's huge in this region as well.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that do that amongst doing other activities.
Encouraging other formats of schooling as well. So, for example, if they're homeschooled, the primary focus would be either on their sports or their arts or some sort of practical...
More practical, physical activity. So it's not all just paper and pen. But then the flip side is that those motor skills of like writing and doing things paper-based can become a lack, which we are seeing here as well.
But that it's not. Even if you go to school, there's no guarantee.
Yeah,
My
that's
nephew's 6. He goes to school, a regular conventional school. When he does his homework on his tablet, he uses his thumb because he wants to hold the top part of the tablet, and then he uses his thumb. And then when I tell him to use his finger, he's like, "Why should I?"
Yeah.
Explain the reason as to why this looks like a pencil. It's not a pencil.
Too smart.
It is not. So it's still a finger. So I don't need to. So his hand movement is all wrong when he uses a pencil.
Yeah.
And my mother, who's very old-fashioned in her schooling, is appalled.
Yeah.
She's appalled. So even then, there's no guarantee of motor coordination, especially in the digital
That's
era.
true. Yeah.
So that is just, again, effort we take in extra to confirm that, those kind of skills
Are still there.
are still
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
I think some of the one of the schools that I was working with, they had introduced what do you call it? A class.
Okay.
A class.
They can introduce a lot of things.
What?
Which one do they introduce?
So a class for life skills.
Okay.
And that taught the students how to be more empathetic, how to be more compassionate.
That's so
And they
good.
used to show like short clips of how you can be more loving towards, say, an animal or loving
wow.
towards other
really
children
nice.
who
We
are
didn't get that.
neurodivergent.
At what
And
age level was this?
This was, they were, okay, it's in India, so 6th standard to 11th standard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
grade
it was
6
till
to
then.
grade 11.
Grade 6, okay. It's the same.
It's the same. It's the same.
Grade
We can say
6
grade
to
6
grade 11.
Yeah.
But yeah, so adding more things like that where teachers are introducing more classes like how to self-regulate their emotions, how to work on mental health, how to be more,
They had
working
classes
on
on
those
mental
skills.
health?
They did not have class. They only had life skills class, but that was a pilot thing that they started.
It was
Nice.
all in-
So
Okay.
I think these things are good to learn. Like schools can learn from other schools and incorporate these things. Now we have school counselors. Now we have school
Send departments.
Yeah.
So that is a very good addition. But also to have those classes where we can teach children who are neurotypical.
Yeah. Neurotypical is correct.
Neurotypical.
Yeah. Neurotypical versus neurodivergent.
Yes.
To work how to work with neurodivergent students and to teach them more about neurodivergent
Yeah.
students
That's so good.
so that
That
they
is
can
really-
accommodate
we really
more.
need that.
So like
Yeah.
life skills classes and all.
I actually don't know if they do it, to be fair.
They
we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't truly in full capacity know if they... Maybe there are some schools who do life
There,
skill
there
classes.
must be many of
I
the
know they
schools that
have
do.
like in a school I was in Dubai here. They had something called Life.
Right.
So that was a class itself, or it was under PHSE.
Yes.
Which is also that's all to do with like life skills.
Yeah.
Physical
It
health,
didn't
social
really,
education.
That. So it didn't really
Yeah.
touch on mental health completely though. It was more just
Yeah.
like general life skills.
Yeah.
A lot of people were just uninterested when they come in that class. They knew it was like a class to like time wasting and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
see, that's the
then
issue.
there's
When
no
you do it as a
seriousness.
separate day,
Yeah.
that becomes the problem. But when you integrate it into the curriculum,
Yeah.
it becomes easier.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
Do an MCQ on that.
Yeah.
How good is your empathy?
Yeah.
When you see a three-legged puppy, what should
What do you do?
feel? What should you feel?
Or what do you do? Do you give him food?
Maybe
Or
not.
do you ignore and walk away?
Oh no.
Difficult question.
Pressure.
The person has to say give him food.
Listen, there is no guarantee.
Yeah,
there's no guarantee
We
about
need to
this.
find ways.
Standardized testing in general,
Yes,
though,
yes.
does fail to accommodate everyone. So going back to life skills as a standardized testing would not work. So there's this fun fact from OECD. Do you know what OECD is?
No, it's something in the UAE though.
Something Dubai.
No, actually, it's not.
Oh.
Actually, it's a world thing. It's an Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development.
Oh, development, yes.
They focus on the program for international student assessment, so standardized testing in general, the MCQs that you are
Yeah.
encouraging. They actually saw that in UAE, there's a specific mathematics problem. So you should you should reach a level 2 or higher as a child based in a particular age range. Only 51% efficiency was noticed, whereas the world average is 69%. So we are off by 18%.
That's not good.
That is not good.
Yeah.
And there are many reasons to it. One of the reasons that was mentioned was that the school systems do not accommodate, they only accommodate, they do not acknowledge and accept the different styles or methods that are needed,
Yeah.
even though they do try. And then
Yeah.
again, we go back to the SEND department versus the teaching staff
Yes.
problem.
Communication
So,
problem.
Communication problem, or just different goals, like she
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Same page
Yeah.
problem. So Zoha found us a cool thing, Montessori and Waldorf schooling.
Yes.
Yes, which I will now pass to her because I don't know much about
Give me
it.
a second. I know as much as you do. Wait. Yeah, so the Montessori and Waldorf is a complete different schooling.
Yeah,
And, I
schooling
believe-
system, schooling curriculums.
Yeah, it is a system.
Yeah,
I
it's a
believe
system.
there's also maybe one or two in the UAE itself.
Yeah.
And it's like a completely holistic approach to education, where they're fostering like independence, learning, self-discipline, and that's through a lot more hands-on activities.
Yeah.
So
Like she said, the empathy and all of those things.
yeah, that would be
Yeah.
in there.
That's the primary goal of the schooling system.
Yeah.
So the life skills is the primary goal of the schooling system.
that's fine.
And in Waldorf schooling as well, they use a lot of arts.
yeah.
And they use a lot of hands-on play, and they integrate different age ranges,
Yeah, that
which
too.
which really helps because there are kids who are 6 who may function better with 4-year-olds
Yeah.
because of just the way they are predisposed or the genetic makeup is. And the same goes for as they grow older, they grow in that capacity, and then they move them around. Montessori
Very
schools move
nice.
them around
Yeah,
at least.
it's more about the ability.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Than
which
the
is
age. Yeah.
than the conventional format of schooling. A lot of neurodivergent kids would benefit from Waldorf and Montessori type of
Yes.
schooling. We don't know any by name that we trust or we know, but good research.
No, I have my mom. She did her Montessori school training.
Oh, did she?
So she, but in different parts of the world, Montessori is a part of the school itself, but not after grade 1. I think it's
Yeah,
only
they
like
use it, yeah.
young
They use it
people,
interchangeably
young
with
children.
kindergarten,
Yeah, yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yeah.
But it's very nice. Yeah, whatever I've learned from her as well.
They use a lot of these wooden pallets and
yeah.
all those kinds of things,
Yeah,
right?
and she used to work with children in the spectrum and
Typically
neurotypicals.
functioning?
Yes, typically functioning.
Why do we always
I
have
don't
bunny
know. I
clothes?
don't know.
You don't need to do
It just
that.
You don't need
happens.
to do it. It is the word. Typically functioning children.
Typically functioning. I wanted to do this for normal, like this normal.
Ah,
We
right,
don't want to
okay.
use that word. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't
But
use
now
that
it's
word.
just like every word I say.
Oh no, which one's real? They're all fake.
Yes.
ADHD. What do you feel about that word? How do you feel about? I've always wanted to ask another psychologist this. How do you feel about the word ADHD?
It can.
It can.
There's no words that
It can be together. Like it can show together in one child or person, but
Yeah.
in different capacity.
I feel
I don't
like
know the
something
word.
that gets lost in translation is when you have autism.
Yeah.
A lot of ADHD signs exist already.
Yeah, that's what.
So it's a-
very
Yeah, it's not
usable,
interchangeable,
changeable. No,
but it
yeah,
is like.
it can be
Integrated.
used.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, as a person who is
Yeah.
against labeling at such a large degree,
Yes. Yes.
how do you feel when kids use the term "I'm ADHD"? So I cannot do this, or I'm ADHD. I cannot.
as an excuse.
As an excuse.
Yeah.
Okay, for some students, if it's really difficult for them, then yes, we try and get to the. As therapists, we know we try to get into the bottom of the issue and what is the issue, what exactly it is, where does it come from? Is it academic? Are they scared of some subjects? Are they scared of all subjects? Are they scared of school in general? Is it an actual thing that they're going through? But if someone is, and when you get to know the child in general, we will get to know if that is being used as an excuse or not. So I think it's just getting to know the
So
child.
when
Like
they
very
go to a schooling system,
person-centered.
very person-centered,
Very
person-centered, which is a therapy style. If people didn't know,
Yes.
if besides CBT,
Check
and
out our
ACT.
other podcast that talks about CBT and
plugging
person-centered.
Just plugging it there. So when a child goes into a schooling system and says, "I have autism and ADHD," in
Yes.
fact, I'm ADHD.
To be honest, I've not heard anybody saying that.
Really?
Yeah, no child has come out to me and said that. Okay, I'm
I have had a child come up to me and say this exact sentence. Yesterday on TikTok, I saw that I am ADHD.
Oh, not TikTok.
Yeah, that's.
I couldn't break it down. I was like, yesterday on TikTok, you saw that you are ADHD. Someone made a video on you. Like, did that happen? And then like, no, I saw a video that spoke to me and I am ADHD.
So basically, the symptoms that video was showing, they resonated a lot.
But funnily enough, they had anxiety and no signs of ADHD because of misinformation that always happens, right?
Self-diagnosis. Again, we've talked about this
Big
in one
red
of the
flag.
episodes. Check it out.
Yes.
So going back to anxiety,
Yes.
you have something for us related to anxiety and stress, do you not?
I have many things. Which
No,
one
not-
in particular are you talking about?
About your well-being groups that you're running.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Because now that we have established that a lot of children
Yes.
have a lot of confusions about whether they have anxiety or something else, or anxiety causes their inability to function in a conventional type of schooling, which, again, we don't encourage anyone to leave any sort type of schooling.
Yeah.
No.
We just like know the right questions, understand the system.
It's just building awareness.
Yeah,
But it
building
doesn't particularly mean everyone should drop out. As
Yes.
we
Yeah.
said, it's just a little bit of light we're shedding.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So in that format, what do you, in your well-being group that you are going to run in about 2 to 3 weeks?
3 weeks. Yes.
Yeah. What is it that you're going to tell us or teach us or show us?
So basically, it's to, again, like building awareness is our main goal.
Yeah.
To build awareness around anxiety, the different kinds of anxiety that can occur.
Yeah.
And we will be making more videos, so check out our Instagram. But yeah, talking about that, having like a group that is going through, group who knows what they're going through or who thinks that they're going through anxiety or who are going through anxiety, having that support that there are people like me feeling this way. And I think 70 or 60, or this is my statistics, 60 or
Personal
70
that you just made up.
personal
Backed by
statistics
Himangi.
that around 60% of your problem solves when you know that there are people going through the same thing that you are going through.
Yeah.
Um,
So in a better, more objective way of putting it is a large amount of your problems, instead of
Large
putting a
amount.
number to it,
Yeah.
Yes,
Just in case.
just in case.
No, according to my therapy,
Majority.
like a general
Oh, right.
idea
From
that
your
from my experience in
Okay.
therapy,
Okay.
yes, in domestic abuse and violence. But yeah, support groups work a lot. These are well-being groups which will educate you about anxiety, understanding anxiety in your own self, understanding anxiety in understanding how to be with people who are anxious or who are going through anxiety. Some tools will be given out to self-regulate your emotions and how to deal with it, or how to deal with someone who's going through it, or
So
what you
even
can
as a
do.
parent, can you attend?
Yes,
So you can
yes.
understand your child better as
Yes,
well.
yes,
Yeah?
definitely.
Okay, fantastic.
Advice
so
for
it's
anyone.
It's all throughout. So any age
Yes,
range or
any age range.
so
For parents
and adults.
and adults, yes.
Okay.
For the well-being groups, yes, for parents and adults, but the information is for everyone.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Fantastic.
will be given in the well-being group.
Fantastic. And you have a statistic for it about anxiety and stress, do you not? Related to
I
schooling.
said it already.
Did you?
Yeah, I did
don't
it.
think you did.
I did it.
No, you didn't.
I did it.
You did the-
20% of I did actually. 20%
You
of
forgot.
I don't remember.
find it.
Our
Find
working
it in the
memory needs
podcast.
Go.
And
20%.
20% of students, they go through mental health issues such as anxiety and depression.
She did say it.
In
She did
schools.
say it.
Yes,
I remember it.
find the timestamp and comment down below when I said this.
This is just for Tayyib.
First, you both.
Go on.
Yeah, so 20% of students, they go through mental health issues in school as students.
Because of the pressures put by the
because
parents.
of the
see? Yeah,
and
okay.
and because of the pressure to perform well academically, so the stress basically.
So even that.
Yes.
So even if you are someone who's dealing with that, you
Yes.
can come to the Wellbeing Group
Yes,
and learn
definitely.
more about it.
Yes, and we will also talk about how children and adults show their anxiety symptoms separately, like differently.
That's very
so like
nice,
the physical
actually.
symptoms in children are different from physical symptoms in adults.
Yeah.
Oh,
So we'll
fantastic.
talk about that as well.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, ladies,
Thank
for joining
you.
me today.
Thank you.
And I will see you soon again.
See you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.